Hello and welcome back to No Total Fucking Bullshit. Little hero or intellectual powerhouse. You could be YouTube's fattest man, probably. It was pretty quick, but it was probably the gayest little moment I've seen in a while on YouTube. Right? Overly aggressive and dismissive. Imagine the guys transitioning to girls will take the girls' test, right? So that inevitably is going to lower our strength too. Not to mention men could start to transition just so they can take the easier test to get in. What a monster. Notice the language, guys. It's pretty over the top. Die, motherfucker. I'm going to rape you and your family. I'm really starting to think people are watching him and his channel because he is such a train wreck. It's like a disaster that's disturbing to look at, but you just can't turn away. Now, for starters, I don't necessarily claim to be in the skeptic community. I'm in the faux logic, autistic, pussy-ass, grossest, most disturbing, hucked up chicken fucker community. Wow, what a terrible person. It's almost like he's in the freak show at the carnival. Killing and raping and all kinds of messed up shit. It's fucking absurd. You're failing. You look like a dumb asshole. Needless to say, there's lots of downsides to forcing transgenders into the military. Something else I don't think anyone is talking about regarding Game of Thrones. The show appears to be going full feminist and slightly SJW. A girl power sort of theme this season is undeniable, and while originally that was the focus of Daenerys' character alone, now it seems like 90% of Westeros is being run by women. But the feminist plotting doesn't end there. Not only are all the women in Game of Thrones overpowered, but most of the men are handicapped in one way or another, usually by quite literally having their dicks cut off, or sometimes just the balls or a hand. I'm not smart enough to understand him, but shocking.
Damn right, motherfucker. Hello everybody, and welcome to the No Bullshit Rant. No Bullshit is a conservative-leaning YouTuber who attacks the left and tends to blame them for, like, the most trivial things one can imagine. Or just calling people social justice warriors arbitrarily. Seriously, it's now just a pejorative for him to arbitrarily call someone a social justice warrior or accuse them of being a feminist. It reminds me of when Dave Cullen of Computing Forever called Sargon of Akkad a Marxist, and since he calls a lot of people Marxists, it's kind of just a useless term that means nothing anymore. No BS likes to strawman his opponents when he's responding to them. Shocking.
AKA the invasion of social justice into the atheist/skeptic community. And in just the same way, it will serve as a litmus test for intellectual honesty.
Whoa, wait, what? An intellectual litmus test? Schism in the skeptic sphere? Dude, I gotta get out a dictionary just to figure out what the fuck he's trying to say. And I'm pretty smart. I know some people might comment I'm not smart enough to understand him, but that's not it. He just speaks in overly complicated, convoluted language. He's fucking confusing. But I looked over it a few times, so let me try and be the autistic translator for you guys. Basically, ask yourself a saying, if you're not a vegan, you're not intellectually honest, and I think that's total fucking bullshit.
Well, that's not even what he said. What he said was...
AKA the invasion of social justice into the atheist/skeptic community. And in just the same way, it will serve as a litmus test for intellectual honesty.
And you deliberately twisted his words and said,
if you're not a vegan, you're not intellectually honest, and
I think Ask Yourself thinks that's bullshit too, as that's not his position. There are numerous other examples of no BS strawmanning Ask Yourself in his video called Vegans White Knighting for Animals is Bullshit, but I felt like that was the most obvious example of a straw man fallacy being deployed.
They were talking about me, again. Believe me though, I really hate being a part of my own stories here. I'm not trying to be armored skeptic or anything, but the last few days it just couldn't be avoided. In addition to being attacked with lies, false flags, strikes, and even people trying to hack my Twitter, things have finally reached a tipping point this past week when I was also doxxed and had my real face shared all over the internet, including my real name, my LinkedIn profile, my former IMDb page, all kinds of stuff.
You realize you promised to show your face on your Patreon, right? And I don't know if your patrons sworn to not show your face on the internet, but one of them sure as hell did. I don't see why you care so much about being doxxed, because after all, you've said things to kind of tone down the severity of doxing, to play it off as if it's not anything bad. Remember? You think it's murder. Most people think it's a parking ticket. Most people think it's a parking ticket. Most people think it's a parking ticket. Most people think
This all started from a few tweets and videos made by the Cool Kids Club side of YouTube. Let me explain. For those who don't know, the Cool Kids Club here on YouTube, or as I like to call them, the YouTube KKK, they're a group of left-wing anti-SJWs who can't stand openly conservative-leaning guys like me getting attention.
Well, that's just uncharitable telepathy. Can you actually prove that's their motive or their mindset?
Very ideologically left themselves, but they hardly have the balls to admit it. And when the YouTube KKK sees someone like me, openly conservative and right-wing, well, they start burning 40-minute hit pieces in front of my yard, so to speak. Really, this has been happening over and over again lately. And when you dig into it, their similarities to the original KKK are pretty uncanny.
I'm doing things like today because I'm being around people and not discussing people. Not their days.
First of all, they're closeted Democrats, who ironically didn't vote Democrat in this past election. I mean, it's hard to blame them considering their candidate and figurehead was Hillary Clinton. Ugh. But still, this YouTube KKK pretty much abandoned their party last year, which I think helped them lose the election, which is why I wish they'd stop whining about Trump, because it's partly your fault too.
Would you say the same thing if it was Hillary who was in office and Donald Trump had lost? Would you say those who didn't vote Republican in the last election, who were Republicans, would you say it's their fault?
Now, these peeps are still liberals and left-leaning, but they really don't admit it. Not much. Their bias does become quite apparent, though, when they abandon their scruples and throw away their decency to attack, lie, and even dox right-wingers like me. Kinda like how everyone hangs Red Pill Black for doxing, but this time they're hanging me with doxing. Oh, and hanging people is quite the KKK thing to do, isn't it?
And the clan are now appealing to children online. Mum Amanda believes racial minorities could have a bad influence on her sons.
Alright, so let's go back to August to fully go into that statement and to go into his hypocrisy with this whole thing. So on August 4th, 2017, me, Humane Mind, the Outspoken Realist, and a whole host of other people had a 3.5-hour live stream discussing Bearing and him supposedly endorsing a doxer, Devin Tracy. No Bullshit got involved after the stream was over, and a huge Twitter match between me, Loudmouth, Humane, and a whole host of other people took place on Twitter back in August. And it got to the point of where we were replying to their tweets so much that No Bullshit decided to bring me and Loudmouth into a private Twitter chat to discuss this without bombing people's notifications. This is the result of that exchange now in the Twitter chat, and No Bullshit says at the very top, "You think it's murder. Most people think it's a parking ticket, when doxing has caused people to die, along with swatting, and swatting involves doxing."
By this logic, if you don't dress provocatively, you won't get raped.
You see how that logic doesn't work? The reason I did that creepy voice filter is so I don't get taken out of context. And No Bullshit kept saying to me,
provide sources for the claim that doxing gets people harmed.
in any physical sense of the meaning, and I provided the evidence. And he just dismisses it. And the funny thing is, he's quite hypocritical when it comes to demanding and presenting evidence. No bullshit. Later in his video, he points out how he was asleep and some people took some pictures of him at some type of meetup.
For VidCon 2017, the convention for YouTubers that happened this summer, no one had any clue who I was or what I looked like. There I met a few YouTubers, and while they all appeared to be nice guys, it looks like they all didn't have the best intentions. Now, I only met and identified myself as No Bullshit to like a handful of people, particularly Andy and Chris Worski, who, for the record, are not part of any of this. They've always been nice and are still friends with me. We're still cool and everything, but somehow word got around, and ipso facto, this video of me was made and shared all over Twitter.
And what I'd have to say to that is, if you don't fall asleep in public, people won't take pictures of you.
Now, I'm not sure who this brown guy is here, but
That is some mental retardation right there. Like, if you look at the cap of that guy who's taking his picture with you, it says Bunty on it. Bunty.
I'm guessing he's in on it too. And he's clearly cool with filming me here without my permission. How could I give permission? I'm dead asleep. Now,
Don't need to describe your sex life to us. But you said that if you don't want to get doxxed, don't be on Twitter. Well, if you don't want to get doxxed, don't show your face in public.
now granted this was a public place, but there's still no way to identify me as No Bullshit.
Twitter's a public place too, and there's no way to identify you based on just your appearance.
Some people have commented on that name tag I'm wearing, which wasn't really a name tag at all. In fact, I'll admit it, I didn't even buy a pass for VidCon. I just grabbed a random Google lanyard and snuck in. And if
But you said you publicly identified yourself as No Bullshit to a handful of people, and this is just a theory. Maybe, just maybe, some of them pointed you out, and Bunty may have seen it. And Bunty, when he saw your unfortunate mug asleep, decided to take a selfie with you.
He didn't do nothing wrong. He didn't do nothing wrong. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He didn't do it. He didn't do it. Bunty didn't do it.
No Bullshit has had some live debates on YouTube, some with Destiny and some with Vegan Gains. We're gonna check out the one with him against Vegan Gains, and he makes Vegan Gains look good, and that's terrifying.
So I think my argument is pretty simple. I mean, essentially, eating meat is already moral. It's already accepted part of society. People use it as a nutrient to eat. They cook it. It's already moral. It's already accepted. You wouldn't say someone that's eating a cheeseburger is a murderer, or a child who eats beef at school lunch is immoral.
Well, your premise is interesting because basically you're making an appeal to social contract. We already do it, and we, like, generally in society, we wouldn't consider somebody immoral if they're eating meat. This is just an appeal to social contract. You're not breaking any social contracts with anyone by eating meat, so therefore it's ethical. Well, if you're going to appeal to social contract, then you could use that same thing to justify slavery. If we lived in a society...
Wow, you brought up slavery quick, man. Are we like 2 minutes in?
Well, it's a completely valid argument. Like, if you're going to appeal to
No,
social
it's not.
contract...
Slavery is not equal to eating meat.
Now, whether anyone is going to argue about the ethics of eating meat is an argument for another time, but it's not that hard to grasp what Vegan Gains is saying. You're saying eating meat is justified because of social contract, kind of appealing to tradition a little bit, which is a fallacy. It used to be the tradition where slavery was a thing. He's making an analogy. It's not that hard to understand he's making an analogy, you fucking moron.
Okay, but we already agreed that there's no diet where we don't harm animals.
Well, to some extent.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying. Like, yes, 1 billion is way worse than 1,000, but you're inconsistent.
Okay, so you agree?
You're not being consistent.
No, I am. So you agree that it is morally superior to follow a vegan diet?
No, I didn't say that. I said
you just did.
No, I said that numbers. I understand numbers. When you say 1 billion is more than 1,000, that's all I was understanding.
I caused the suffering and death of fewer animals than you, so I'm living a more ethical lifestyle.
Are you though?
So
really?
you agree?
You literally just conceded the point. You just did. Like, that clip shows you conceded the point.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying. Like, yes, 1 billion is way worse than 1,000.
You agree. You simply refuse to admit that you agree.
I couldn't have said it better myself. The full debate between vegan gains and no bullshit is a 2-hour thing. And through all the bad arguments no bullshit deploys, I could not be fucked into going any further in that debate. One of the most frustrating things when it comes to arguing with no bullshit is when you call him out on using a logical fallacy, he'll dismiss it and say you're using high school debate terms, which is, and I hate to pull the Stefan Molyneux here, not an argument.
Well, if you say a word from your debate class, then yeah, that's a word from your debate class, but that doesn't mean I'm wrong. You just like to
yeah, it does. You're making
like
an
to
appeal
say-
to futility.
Just like to say a word that ask yourself, text you in the messages. He says appeal to futility or logical fallacy, and then you think that means you won. It doesn't mean you won.
Not the point. He's not saying you're wrong because you used a fallacy. He's just saying your thinking is incorrect. Your logic is not consistent, and you don't know what logic is. When you use a logical fallacy, no bullshit, it makes you look like a moron. You lose the opportunity to make a good point when you replace a good point with a logical fallacy. And you can call it a high school debate term, but that's missing the whole point. Your opponent is being actually quite polite by encouraging you to not use fallacies and to use actual arguments. One more video I want to show to all of you before we wrap up this video is the prime example, the case in point of what is wrong with some of No Bullshit's response videos. He has to cherry pick every single thing in a video that is so bad in his eyes that it will just make the video go on longer than it has to. He'll have to cherry pick, well, I wouldn't say cherry pick, but more nitpick things in the background, which is not relevant to the video at hand. It's also worth pointing out that, yes, he did have some good points in the video, it's just, it was kind of an annoying theme, and people in the comments section were kind of pointing that out too.
Your career is about to be dead. Oh, and nice product placement you got there, Rice. I guess 2 Supreme logos wasn't enough. You had to squeeze that third one in on the table there. It was pretty quick, but it was probably the gayest little moment I've seen in a while on YouTube. Rice Gum is such a beta bitch when he keeps saying stop it here.
Stop it. Stop it. No, stop. Stop it. Stop it. No, stop.
He's also got the gayest haircut and like 0 hair on his legs. Probably his whole body. He's a hairless Asian below the neck. Probably can't grow a beard either. Needless to say, this boy needs to grow some hair on his balls. Well, that's the worst acting I've seen in a while. And what's with that awkward bro hug in there? I don't know about you guys, but I don't go and bro hug my friends when a new video comes out on YouTube. That's just weird. If I knew Rice Gum, I would start distancing myself now too. And look at this shitty bedroom setup he's got going here. Rice likes to brag and show off his big mansion he's living in, but he treats it like shit. Like, look at this cable just loosely hanging over those 2 doors for some reason. He's also got junk laying around all over the floor and the tables, and just a random roll of toilet paper right there. It's just trashy and fucking pathetic, especially considering the way he likes to front as this rich guy. He's obviously new money, wanna be rich. That's why he's got terrible style and horrible decorating at his place. He's basically fucking it all up. You talking, but you look like you're rapping in a music video? Tone down those over-the-top hand movements and shit, bro. Shot here is another example of Rice not only trying to show off his big mansion, but he's also unwittingly showing us how trashy and classless he's made his living situation. I mean,
look, he's got this nice pool table by the patio here, but he just leans his pool cues against the fireplace on the left there, not to mention the old McDonald's cup and other trash on top of the fireplace next to it. And the biggest eyesore in this room for me is the random trash can in the corner back there on the right. Like, it looks like they need a trash bin for the room and just went with the first biggest one they could find at Home Depot or something. This is a large trash can for a garage or outdoors though. I mean, I know this sounds like I'm nitpicking here, but Rice Gum is the one trying to show off his mansion, and he likes to brag about all the money he has and how stylish he is. Yet he can't afford to buy a rack for his pool cues, or a maid to clean up the trash in his place, or at least get a real indoor trash can that matches your multi-million-dollar mansion. Come on, if Rice Gum spent half as much time on his living quarters as he does on his clothes and his goofy haircut, this wouldn't be an issue.
what's up with this gym scene, bruv? You're clearly not getting swollen there or anything. I doubt you ever use this gym except on camera. I mean, look at your weak girly arms. Hell, you could be a transgender for all we know. Basically, he has a girly weak body is what I'm trying to say. Oh,
Well, no fucking shit.
and also, someone broke the door handle to his gym too, and no one ever bothered to fix it. And I'm willing to bet this happened a while ago, and this trashy rice guy just left it, because that's what shady wannabe rich Vietnamese kids do. They try and act rich and important and flex their cash, even though they're really the worst.
And No Bullshit's nitpicking was absolutely pointless. Rice Gum made a bullshit reaction video to iDubbbz's video, and No Bullshit made a response to it. If No Bullshit would have said at the end, and it would have said it once, dude, you need to fix up your mansion, maybe, just maybe, his response would have been a little more liked, and would have been a little more, well, pleasing to watch, rather than every few shots and cutaways hearing this bullshit about this dude's mansion that nobody fucking cares about. And in short, No Bullshit is just a lolcow in that anti-SJW community, which it's really just becoming a complete shit show, and it's kind of an embarrassment that people like him are considered skeptics or anti-SJWs or whatever. Any other criticisms I have of No Bullshit have been said repeatedly by many other people. So No Bullshit. Go fuck yourself.